When you think of Croydon, you're probably going to think of two things: IKEA and stabbings. Well, today I'm here to prove to you that there's a lot more to this town, part of London, than just stabbings and IKEA meatballs. Join me today as we go for an explore around the real Croydon. Join me. Let's face it, despite having so many shops and being in a really nice central area, Croydon has a very high crime rate. It is a crime rate of around 131.9 crimes per 1,000 people, way above the national average. Most crimes, 13.3 thousand, were violent crimes. That's over 28% of the crimes being violent, which is, once again, very high compared to the national average. When you search on the internet for Croydon, these are the sort of titles that you'll come up with. Many of them reveal the sort of violent crimes, generally gang related, that go on inside this borough of London. And I was just wanted to see what a random neighbourhood feels like, and it feels pretty much normal to anywhere in south sort of London, really. Someone's like number plate. The joys of visiting Pearly Croydon. Anyway, let's go up a little bit further. We'll walk down this neighbourhood a little bit, see if we can find anything half interesting to put in the video. Then we'll drive into Croydon. I'll show you the town centre, maybe find a park or something. But I'm just trying to see, you know, what is Pearly like, because there's probably one or two videos on Croydon out there, but there's not too much on Pearly. So I don't even know if this is a bad area or not. I probably should have researched before I came, but to be honest, it just looks like a fairly normal suburban London area, to be honest. So if my calculations are correct, if I walk down this street long enough, we should come somewhere in between Thornton Heath, which I've heard is quite notorious, and basically central Croydon. So we'll try and sort of circle back into central and see what we can find there, but hopefully it gets a little bit interesting on the walk over there. That's the plan, at least. But yeah, so far, as I say, I've been walking for about 10-20 minutes now. Just looks like a normal street, to be honest, and sometimes when I make these videos I do question, you know, is it really that bad? I mean, when I was doing the research compared to East London, where it's more, people have been describing on Reddit, for example, is more sort of ghetto, and here's obviously a bit more wealthy, it's less deprived, right? But obviously there's a big gang presence here, especially between Lambeth and Croydon at the moment. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but there is a big sort of presence in terms of the gang. So, but I think as long as you're just a normal person, you're not going to bother them. I don't think they're going to bother you, to be honest. We'll see how that pans out though. Look at this, literally just fly tipping everywhere. Like, some tips are free, some tips they charge a little bit, but come on, just pay like the 10 or the 20 quid, man. Jesus. People are just dumping all sorts, not a care in the world. And there, you've got a random trolley. No matter where you go, whether it's a nice area or a bad area, there'll always be a trolley. Never forget. It's still carrying on, by the way. Still going on. So much free stuff here. Still... It's actually quite depressing, to be honest, but the camera don't pick it up very well, but it just carries on forever. There's even stuff in the trees, like it's blown away into the trees. This is something I wanted to show you here. Even though we're basically in Thornton Heath at this point, or nearish enough that area, a place with a terrible reputation for gang murders, violence, stabbings, also is the stab capital of the UK, it's quite gentrified, and that is still continuing to happen here. All of the houses behind me too here probably doesn't pick up too well, it's such a gloomy day, but they're quite modern, and the house prices here, yes, they're lower than a lot in London, but interestingly there's not too much difference between here and East London for when I was doing the research, when I was looking. So it begs the question, why is East London so deprived in comparison to South, even though they've got fairly comparable crime rates, and many violent crime is actually worse here, some people have been saying. The problem with those crime rate stats though is you look on one website and it will say one thing, you look on another website and it will say another thing, so you never really know. And you'll go one day and we'll have a nice vibe, and you go another day and you'll shit yourself. So you can never tell with these crime rates. I mean, a few months ago, a statistic came out basically saying that the UK was one of the most miserable places to live in the world. In fact, we came like second, and I think the first was Uzbekistan or something, somewhere in Central Asia. And you look around, and it, why would you stay here as a white young man when you could move to Thailand? So where the people are happy, yes, it's poorer, but the people are happy, the food's better, the weather's better, everyone's genuinely a very nice person, and the crime rates are way lower. I mean, no wonder the country's getting no funding, everyone's moving out. Lambeth Road. Well, definitely not going down there if any of the news is to be believed and what people are saying on Reddit with the war at the moment. But I think I found the number plate. Let's probably return it to the owner. I actually think this image right here sums up London perfectly. In the back you could see the super modern housing estate, and in front you've got a trolley, you've got all sorts in front. Just goes to show how big wealth inequality is. Even in a first world country, so-called first world country anyway, it's still like so different. I mean, I can see, I'm going to turn the camera around, I don't know where you can see this, but you can see some proper almost skyscrapers really, can't you? And that will be East Croydon, which is the wealthy part. And here in sort of central west, I mean, you've got houses that look like they're basically falling down, right? I mean, in comparison, my sort of thoughts on the comparison between here and like Poplar, for example, here's definitely wealthier for sure. In terms of how dangerous it feels, I'm going at 2 PM, so it's hard to say. At night, you go to Thornton Heath near Lambeth, in between Lambeth and here, obviously it's going to be a totally different story, but feels somewhere in the middle, And this is what life is like for a lot of people who live in London, one of the richest cities in the world. This is one of the estates. You've got the soundtrack of basically police sirens all the time behind you. You're staying in these buildings and the weather's like this. And guaranteed they got more money than I have because they live in London. That's the mad thing about the entire situation. And what can it get you? What can 500 grand a year get you after stamp duty, after tax, after this, after that, after inflation? Well, can barely get you something like this. To be honest, you do wonder if these kind of places are still going to exist in 10 years, in 100 years. We seem to just be going round in circles as a nation. 10 years plus of Tories, just austerity, no investment, nothing. And then Labour, who are, if anything, worse, literally just ransacking the population for themselves. That's all they care about is money. I mean, but then if you look at the polls, the Tories are now winning again. How is that even possible? People forget, the public forget too easy. We need to get out of this two-party situation, because all you're going to get is the same, and the same. Just look around you. Another example of the gentrification in Croydon. You've got all these shut down shops here, but if you ignore that, you've got quite a nice old building there, but you've got a really big building there, super modern, really big apartment block, which I really have to swing the camera up to actually include in the video. Anyways, I'm in West Croydon High Street. I'll go for a little look around, see what it's like. It's a little bit different to East Croydon, and I think you know what I mean. think it's cool to pray here in London or something, because in that mall there were quite a few people just lying down and just praying on the floor, which is, I've never seen that before in the UK. Obviously Islam is the fastest growing religion here, and in Croydon it's probably no surprise that it is quite a big religion here. So yeah, that was quite weird to see. I didn't want to just go up to random people and film them praying though, but hopefully we got a little bit of that on camera just to show you, because otherwise people in the comments are going to say, oh, you're lying, you've got some agenda to push. No, I'm literally just showing you exactly what I see, and that's what I saw. So love it or hate it. Behind me here is the east of Croydon. As you can tell by the bigger buildings, it is a little bit more affluent, but at least is what I was told. I was walking down the street, which I'm going to walk back down now for you guys. It doesn't look anything like that. There's like, some of the banks have been smashed up. I've never seen so many abandoned stores in like a part of London as well either. I'm not impressed, to be honest. If anything, it looks pretty much the same as West Croydon, which I was impressed with compared to its reputation. So let me show you. You can see it, someone's literally trying to like brick the bank. That is wild. Literally all of this bit down here, minus that shop, and this bit all down here is just closed down. It's totally different to what people were saying online. It feels very, very different. It still goes on for a while until you get to the gambling area, then it picks back up again. It's the only way they can, well, the high street can make money these days. Just behind me here we've got one of the main markets. I'm going to go down there and show you what you can get. Mainly it's sort of vegetables and fruit and stuff, but it's mega fresh. It smells properly nice here. We've got a random rug shop, but the rest of it, it's all sort of fruit, vegetables, proper fresh stuff, which to be fair you don't really see anymore. You just see the big supermarkets, but it's nice they've got all these stalls that are selling actually fresh stuff that's actually going to go to a real person, minus Keir Starmer's take of it obviously. But it's nice to see, it's different, I like it.
Hello.
We're in Croydon. McDonald's literally has a security guard to guard McDonald's. That's when you know England is finished, when you need a security guard for McDonald's. That is mental. Once again, it's the old like dishevelled buildings and a nice one. Dishevelled building, a nice one. It's just so weird to see. And behind me, I don't even know what the hell this is. I mean, it looks like it used to be something. I mean, it doesn't look like it's been built into anything, does it? But maybe that was a park or just a nice sort of looking roundabout. I have no idea, but certainly doesn't look the best anymore. Oh yeah, underpass. That doesn't look like dangerous at all, does it? That looks really like legal things have been going on in here. If you ever come to Croydon, there's a few main shocks you'll have. Number one is going to be the lack of open shops. Now, it's not too bad compared to some places, but we've got to remember this is the capital city of one of the biggest cities in all of Europe, right? So could it be to do with something money laundering? They just have the shops and they're just closed most of the time to make it realistic or whatnot. I have no idea. And number two is pretty much everywhere that you're gonna walk across is, well, how do I say this? It's going to smell of weed, basically. Every single spot is going to smell of weed. If you like weeds, then great. If you don't like weeds, then it's probably quite bad. But everywhere's going to smell of weed. And thirdly, there's going to be a lot of abandoned places. We didn't really get a chance to explore any today, but pretty much maybe 1 out of every 4 buildings, there's just going to be some sort of like abandoned one, usually residential ones. And I don't exactly know what the story is behind a lot of abandoned residential areas in Croydon, but that's definitely the case that's happening. But this is Wandle Park, one of the parks you can go to if you ever fancy living in Croydon. You can see the towers of IKEA, which is pretty cool, in the background. And there's like a sort of river thing. Let's check it out. It's like, I mean, despite all the rain we've had, it is pretty shallow, isn't it? But it's a little nice water feature in there. I was sort of thinking, you know what parks are like in the UK? It's either going to be the most dangerous, lawless part of wherever, or it's going to be really peaceful. And to be honest, for a capital city, it feels very peaceful. There's not even that many people around, but it's nice. Wandle Park, 10 out of 10, I recommend. This is the side of Croydon you don't see. As you can see behind me, there's a really modern apartment block, but everywhere you look, even left and forwards, it's actually super nice, super modern. If this was in any other part of London, you'd believe it, right? But as soon as I say this is in Croydon, you'd probably think, what? It's in Croydon? But it is, right next to the tram line. Depending on how long they run, it might keep you up at night, but nonetheless, it's actually a fairly modern place in areas. It's such a mixed bag with Croydon. It's crazy, it really is. Well, that was Croydon, guys. What did I think overall? Well, to be honest, it didn't feel as bad as what people said. Did it feel a little bit sketchy in areas? Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much in one right now. But I must say, compared to the other places we've been to on this channel, I'd rather live here than Sheerness, for starters, if you want my honest opinion. No buttered up or anything. It's definitely richer, and there's probably more to do than the East London areas of Poplar and Isle of Dogs. Statistically, it is probably a bit more dangerous, but as I say, compared to some places we've been on the channel, it doesn't feel that bad at all. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.